All right, and joining us now is political commentator Ann Coulter, whose book, Godless, The Church of Liberalism, what did I almost say there? Liberalism, is out in paperback. There it is. A conservative's conservative. She's had some tough words lately for her own party. But to begin with the tough words, some tough words for you by the three top candidates in response to what you had said. Some were calling it a homosexual slur. You said it was a taunt. They all came out when you were talking about John Edwards and said this was wrong, we must deny it. Fair criticism of you, or a shift towards the tolerant among the GOP?
No. I was denounced all over. I think the one that hurt the most was from I'm a little girl in a pink party dress.com. Very upsetting. So about the same time, Bill Maher said, and by the way, I did not call John Edwards the F word. I said I couldn't talk about him because you go into rehab for using that word.
You say you were joking.
About I wouldn't insult gays by comparing them to John Edwards. That would be mean. But about the same time, you know, Bill Maher was not joking and saying he wished Dick Cheney had been killed in a terrorist attack. So I've learned my lesson. If I'm going to say anything about John Edwards in the future, I'll just wish he had been killed in a terrorist assassination plot.
So let's get off of you, but let's get your view on what's going on with the party right now. You hear what the speculation is. You know what the poll numbers are. The talk is the party's in trouble. How do you see it?
I don't think so. I mean, this should be, I think the Democrats do start with a little bit of an advantage in the next presidential election, because you always do if you've been out of power for 8 years. But I do sort of get the sense now that there's, you know, people reaching across the partisan divide. The country is unified. Bush really is a uniter, because we're all just waiting for this nincompoop to be gone. I think we all finally are on the same page on that.
Do you believe if the war is the main issue that the Republicans can win? Can you win if that dominates the election?
Yes, I mean, that's the one thing I think Bush has done well. I mean, he's like another president in that way, FDR. I think he's been magnificent on the war, and on domestic policy has been an embarrassment. We'll see what happens with this immigration bill, but that's causing a lot of troubles, not just among his base, as you always hear, but among Democrats and independents. The whole country is in a rage about this amnesty for illegals, and Bush and some number of senators and congressmen are just, you know, let them eat cake, pushing this through. And that's causing troubles. But I do think what he's done in the war on terrorism remains spectacular, as FDR fought Hitler, and you must give him credit for that, though he nearly wrecked the country with the New Deal and various socialist policies.
But you don't hear a lot of comparing George Bush to Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Is that something new? Are you?
That's why you invite me on the program, Chris.
So Bush is FDR. That's.
I really think it is the accurate historical comparison. I mean, if you look at what's going on with Social Security now, we have completely mortgaged our future. Bush did try to do something about it, and I give him credit for that. Our grandchildren and great-grandchildren will be paying for all of these huge Ponzi schemes, socialist programs that FDR put in place. Most economists agree that the Depression would have been over by around 36 if there had been no government intervention. But the one thing you have to say about FDR is he fought World War II.
All right, so I still don't get it, but you can tell me afterwards. Let's get into who you have to carry the flag here. Giuliani does not seem like a Republican, pro-choice, pro-gay rights, pro-gun control. But the early front-runner, what does that mean? Is the party changing, or does the party just not have a good leader?
Well, it has been at least a couple of years since Rudy has appeared on Saturday Night Live in drag, so that's good. He has only one ex-wife who's appeared in the vagina monologues, so those are the pros. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it is so early right now. I don't really trust the polls.
It is. Now, who do you like this early on? You have Rudy, you have John McCain, maybe Fred Thompson, Mitt Romney, trying to get out of his own way, but who do you like in the field?
My favorite candidate is Nicolas Sarkozy.
Can he run when he's in France?
Actually, my favorite candidate is Duncan Hunter, and he is magnificent. The problem is most people say, who's Duncan Hunter? He's a genuine war hero. He has one son, I think, in Iraq, one in Afghanistan. He is good on every single issue. He has been out front on building a wall. He did build a wall at San Diego. He's very good on the life issue. He's good on every issue.
Pick from one of these Do you think Fred comes in and takes it? Do you think it's
Well, then
McCain?
I'm back to Nicolas Sarkozy.
Can't be him. He's not an American. You must be an American, and he is not. Do you think Fred comes in and champions the day? Do you think John
he's
McCain
kind of our Obama, which is to say, it just shows how unhappy we are with McCain, Giuliani, and Romney, that Thompson steps in, people know very little about him, and, oh, he's our guy. And it's sort of like that with Obama, that the Democrats aren't happy with their leading candidate, Hillary, so they gravitate to Obama, knowing nothing about him and him being, 14 years old.
But as we both know, we like to play with the names because that's the candy. But really, it comes down to the message. The GOP, the Democrats, are going to have a message to persuade the American people, especially in these tough times, abroad and at home. Interestingly, GOP candidates are talking about a president, not Bush, even though he's in office, Reagan. Let's take a listen.
We have the moral strength to be able to explain it to them in the way Ronald Reagan was able to do with communism.
And as Ronald Reagan said, a shining city on the hill.
The model for how the Republican Party wins is who? Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan. Separating from Bush, moving toward Reagan. What's the strategy?
As irritated as I am with George Bush for this amnesty plan, I do have to point out, I looked this up because I heard people pointing out everybody citing Reagan, not Bush. I looked up who the Republicans were citing in 1988.
Okay.
They were not citing Ronald Reagan then. Everyone was, the mainstream media was so ginned up about the sleaze factor, and I'm Nice and Iran-Contra. And so I think the lesson of this is just do the right thing, be a right-winger, and in 10 years they'll be citing you.
And the message for you is you believe the party's got to stay true to its roots. Even if the candidates are a little, let's say, unorthodox for the party, stick to what the main message is. That's what gets you home.
Yes. I mean, the New York Times this weekend had an op-ed piece with a woman, Melissa Henenberger, I think it is, saying the Democrats have got to stop being pro-choice. You are losing as long as you keep making abortion your big issue. I hope Democrats don't listen to her, but I hope Republicans notice. This is a winning issue for us, protecting little babies.
Rudy's your front runner, though. That'll be a nice fight.
I think he might not be the front runner for that reason. I mean, we'll see, but I think that's going to be a tough one.
Ann Coulter, always appreciate having you in the chair.
Thank you. Great to be here.
To read an excerpt from Ann Coulter's book, go to our website at abcnews.com.